Basel, our conference. It's great to see so many well-known faces again and to meet so many new. I always wanted to meet for such a long time. And yeah, so welcome. First, if you have questions during your stay, that is my private cell phone number. However, you can ask also everyone from our team, which is quite big actually. And yeah, whatever problem you experience. I just wanted to give a quick overview of the university, of our department, of our Fachbereich, what we might translate in English as the Institute of Ancient History. So you might not know it, but the University of Basel is actually the oldest university of Switzerland, founded in 1460. On Saturday afternoon there will be a guided city tour that we have organized for you, and you might actually visit the old building of the university that dates back to the 15th century, directly on the Rhine. But since 1933 we have a new main building that is Kollegienhaus, in which you are currently in. Then we are part of the Faculty of Philosophy and History, and we are part of the subunit of the department for Ancient Civilizations, Department of Altertumswissenschaften, here at the University of Basel. And you see, that is just our website. We have here Egyptology, Ancient History, Greek Philology, Classical Archaeology, Latin, Comparative Historical Linguistics, Near Eastern Classical Studies and or Archaeology, and Bronze Age and Provincial Archaeology. So that is quite a big department, and it's quite amazing to work in a department where basically all of the classical studies are represented. We also have an interdisciplinary doctoral program, and we are able to advertise twice a year the so-called starting fellowships that gives future PhD candidates the possibility to develop a PhD project funded here at the University of Basel. And Basel is not the worst place to choose for this starting fellowship, because we really have an incredible university library. It is the biggest university library, or the biggest library of Switzerland. And I've seen many libraries for classical studies, and I have to say Basel is by far the best. You find basically everything, and if there's something you don't find, they buy it for you. And so please advertise this opportunity among your graduate students. We are happy to receive applications also from abroad. Now, to the Institute of Ancient History. We are quite numerous. There are 3 professors and 1 emeritus, Professor Jürgen von Sternberg. And then we have, sorry, I didn't want to go there. And several postdocs, several PhD candidates. And I marked Graham here because Graham will be leaving us soon. He was offered an assistant professorship at Hunter College in New York, and he will be replaced by Irene Soto, who is here today as well. Now, to the research going on at the Institute for Ancient History here in Basel. There are several research projects, individual research projects of course, but we have also 3 big projects that are funded by the Swiss National Science Foundation. And that is first the edition of the Basel Papyrus collection, then a project that concerns the writings of Jakob Burckhardt, and then a 3rd project, that is our project that is here at the center today, and that is change and continuity from a Christian to a Muslim society. So that is the project that is at the center of this conference, and a jointly organized conference by all the members of this project. The project has been running since January 2016 and will run at least until December 2018. Here I give you an overview of the team. We have as postdocs Isabelle Marteau Santaniello. She originally comes from Aix-en-Provence, but she basically did all her studies in Paris. And she received her doctorate supervised by Jean Fournet in 2013, and she worked on Byzantine Egypt. She is here employed in 2 research projects. The first one is the Basel Papyrus collection, where she is a postdoc and responsible for the Byzantine papyri, and she is a postdoc in this other project, which is at the center of this conference. Then we have Dr. Matthias Müller. Where is he? Right there. He received his education in Berlin and Göttingen, did his PhD in Göttingen in 2003, and is also employed in both of the projects, and he's our Coptologist, Egyptologist, Coptologist. And then we have Dr. Stephanie Schmidt. She came from Marburg to us. She did her PhD on the city and the economy in Roman Egypt. The book was published in 2014 already as Stadt und Wirtschaft im römischen Ägypten, die Finanzen der Gaumetropolen. And she's a postdoc in this project since September last year, right? Then we also have 2 doctoral students. The first one is Matthias Stern. He studied in Magdeburg and then later in Vienna, where he did his master's, and where he started with his PhD project for a few months before he came to Basel. He basically came to Basel at the same time as me in 2014, and he's here as my academic assistant, the second one, next to Graham and Sue Irene. And he's working on the Pagaki in Byzantine Egypt. And then we have Eugenio Barrosi. He received his education in, where is he? in Munich. He did his BA, he did his MA in Munich. He studied Near Eastern society and Arab papyrology. And his PhD is supervised by Andreas Caploni and by me here in Basel. And he works, let me cite the title, on the ambivalence of language, expression of power and administrative function in Arabic documents from early Islamic Egypt. So, then I don't want to mention, of course, all of our student assistants as well. They're all studying ancient history and they're employed in the project as well, and they did an amazing job in helping organize this conference. I almost didn't have to do anything. Yeah. And you will see what they all did. I'm going to show it to you. But we are still with the project, so we have several goals that we also proposed to the Swiss National Science Foundation, and we have to try to accomplish what we proposed. So the first goal was to organize jointly an international conference on this topic, which we are doing currently. Further to edit the proceedings. I will say at the end of the conference I will give you more details about this. Then to finish the 2 PhD dissertations, one of Matthias Stern, the other one of Eugenio Barrosi. The postdocs, of course, that will publish papers in international journals, present their research at international conferences. And the student assistants are working on descriptions and revisions of Byzantine archives on Trismegistos. And the idea was also to organize, with all the material that we have here in Basel in various museums, an exhibition on Byzantine Egypt. A long-term goal that we might not achieve in this stage of the project is a jointly written handbook, quasi an introductory guide to the period, to the 6th to 8th century. Good. So here, it is the conference. What did I want to show you? Exactly. The conference also has a website. built by our student assistants, where you have all the information that you might need. There's the program, there are pictures of all the speakers, there are short descriptions of the project members, you find documents, so your handouts, if you allow, will be uploaded to the site. We are producing a video of every paper here, just not the ones that have opted out. And yeah, exactly, here that is just the option to add videos and PDFs of your handout. Then the student assistants also created a Facebook profile where you can add interactive comments to what's going on in the papers that are being given at the moment, and that you can also like and follow us here. And there's a Facebook event that you might attend. And we even have an official YouTube video channel where the papers of the conference will be uploaded. And so far, Lajos Berkes, Andreas Caploni, and Maya Müller have opted out. Is there anyone else who don't like to be videotaped?
I don't, but I'll let it happen.
Just kidding. Yeah, I don't enjoy it either. So you might have seen it already outside the room. We also have poster presentations by all team members, because in the end we had too many speakers that we said, okay, our team members, they will rather present their research as a poster. And I would like to ask Eugenio to very shortly, with 2-3 sentences, to introduce your poster.
Yes, so it will not take time. So the basic idea was to approach individuality in Islamic documents from a different perspective. So I've taken into account the use of late antique symbolism in Islamic Arab Byzantine coinage as a case study, and it is based on a diachronical study of Arab Byzantine coinage in Egypt. And the topic is the transposition or the translation of individual, or better said, individualized symbol of late antique ascendancy into abstract signifier of power and authority in Islamic Egypt. And also by adopting a diachronic perspective, my poster hopes at least to show how the insertion of single, rather minor visual marker provided a sort of visual cue for the viewer of the coin to reinterpret, so to speak, symbols of Byzantine royalty or the Byzantine Empire, and also of the Christian faith like crosses, scepters, globi, crucifer, and so on, in the light of the new established Arab Byzantine rule. Not as a symbol of a particular political entity, not as a symbol of a particularly confessionally defined faith, but as a symbol of authority lato sensu. And that would be my short introduction.
Super. Outside you will also see, how do you call these post-ups? The yellow ones? They're
Yeah.
Post-ups. You can add your comments on the poster and then just put it on the poster. So, the second one is Isabel.
Yes, so while editing the papyri here in Basel, I studied a very small piece, like 8 papers for 11 lines, so not very promising piece, but it happened that it joined with a bigger papyrus in London, so that was first pretty nice. And then second, that this whole papyrus is part of an archive that had not been yet identified as part of it, and show more information on family in 6th century Mongolite. And so my poster focuses on the relationship between members of the family and business relationships and collaboration. So an insight of how a family archive can work on this aspect.
So Matthias Müller.
My poster is just work in progress. It's about a project I'm involved together with one of our former students from Basel, Claudia Gamma and Heike Weber, about publishing the materials of the Italian excavation at the Der Erumi, which is at the Valley of the Queens in western Luxor, or to the west of Luxor. Because the initial idea was to present micro-historical studies, the only person crops up more often in the material is this mentioned Andreas, son of Peter, or Petros. And initially I had hopes to find more clues to say whether this is a monk at the monastery, or is it, somebody who just gave his documents into a kind of record roll to the monastery. However, the documentation of the archaeological enterprise is so bad that you cannot say anything about the context there. And I'm not even yet sure about the date. Alain Delattre favored an earlier date, pre-conquest. I have a tendency to push it into the even 8th century.
Stefan?
Yeah, my paper is work in progress as well. It's a preliminary study of what I would like to conduct in the future as a presentation or the second book. Will be an economic history of Aswan in this transitional period between the 6th and 6th or 9th century rather than 9th century. And regardless of the topic of the conference, I'm not focusing on an individual but more on a group. Like my poster tries to shed some light on a group of merchants and tradespeople in this transit zone as well, in this border region of between Nubia and Aswan. And I try to combine in this very, very dense and A1 tailored version, combine literary and documentary sources such as Aswan pottery, new findings of glass from Aswan and Fontaine, and so far very little exploited source the Arabic inscriptions from the cemetery of Aswan. So, and yeah, I would be very happy if you can put a comment, put your commentaries on this small posters, stickers, but I don't know the word in English, which are attached to all the posters.
So, last but not least, Matthias Stern.
Yeah, this is a small bit of my dissertation project, and the idea that I thought would be a nice addition to subjects that we are treading here. And the basic idea was to have this like local magnates, local elites, large landowners, aristocrats, and to develop some ideal types about some different types of dynamic within these elites. So what their focus might have been, like to the imperial level, to a regional level, to a larger local level, and also to give some hints of how some of these elites are pretty mobile actually, so likely to open up the discussion in terms of these local magnates, and to create some different types of those elites.
Thank you. So perfectly timed. That is my last slide. I just wanted to give you an overview where we are and where we will be over the next 3 days. So right now you're here, Regentszimmer, room 111 in Kollegienhaus. Here, the green space that you see is Petersplatz. The university library, I remember the biggest of Switzerland, is here across the square. Here we will have apéro. Apéro, you also say in English? I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
Reception.
Reception. The reception.
I didn't know that.
will take place at the Department of Classical Civilizations, just to show it to you. And tomorrow, here is your hotel, Hotel Steinschanze. Tomorrow for lunch, and Saturday we will have lunch at the restaurant Zaza, which is just 200 meters away from here. And on Saturday evening we have a dinner organized exactly here, because it's here you have to store Market Square. And actually on Münsterplatz we will have dinner tomorrow night. Hopefully it won't be raining because you can sit outside. Yeah, that was it for my side, and I suggest we start with the first panel.